welcome to another episode of Women for Women Everyday Journeys. I'm your host, Aanchal Nanda, and today we're going to talk about something many of us feel, but don't exactly have the words for it. Who am I beyond the role I play? Rediscovering identities beyond role. As women, we often wear many hats: wife, mother, daughter, friends, caregivers, and professionals. That somewhere along the way, we tend to tie our identities to what we do. Today's episode, we are going to talk about unwrapping and discussing those feelings, that how can we reconnect and rediscover ourselves. I'm honored to be joined by Emily Sliwa, a licensed clinical professional counselor with 20 years of experience helping individuals with their challenges and rediscovering themselves in safe and a compassionate space. To start off, Emily, why do you think that so many women tend to tie their identities with their roles?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I do think that all of us women tie our identities to our roles because of how we have been raised. I think society has sort of historically been very influential on how we look at ourselves and our roles, meaning that we are rewarded for being a caregiver, we're rewarded for being empathetic, we are rewarded as women or young girls as being kind to others, and we are that shapes and molds our identity. We internalize those things from the external validation.
And why do you think that we end up tying our self-worth to what we do for others, and how can we begin to differentiate and separate that?
Yeah, I definitely think that does happen. Unfortunately, I think we are rewarded by society and by others around us oftentimes for the things that we do for others. Yeah. So I think that continues to reaffirm the negative narrative that we have in our heads about we have to do this, so we have to do that, because we are rewarded or criticized or judged when we don't, quote unquote, fit the mold or do the things that society sort of has fed us that we need to do.
Yeah, because I've always heard the term mother's guilt, but I've never heard a father's guilt. I think as women, we judge too harshly for ourselves. Oh, that I'm working late, I missed practice, didn't make dinner. Why do you think that women always end up doing that?
Yeah, I think it's that's a great question, but I think we struggle with that as women for sure. I know I have struggled with that individually, right? Being a working mom and not being around all the time, 100% of the time, and missing a game or practice or whatever it is. I think that we struggle with that, and I agree. There's not a father's. I don't typically hear, oh, there's father's guilt. It's mother's guilt. It's if there's not groceries in the house or food on the table as expected. It seems that the mom tends to, historically speaking, get sort of looked at or criticized or carry that. I do think that there's a lot of women that struggle with self-compassion. And I think we speak very unkindly to ourselves. However, we are very good at being compassionate to others, to our kids or our spouses or partners or our colleagues. You know, I think that and I think again, that's been ingrained by society, that's who we are, and that's what defines us as women.
Right. For someone who's listening right now, how would you suggest who is right now, she's having a feeling that she's lost and she doesn't know what to do?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a common feeling. I've had the honor and privilege of working with so many women in my practice who present as their kids are getting older and they haven't worked for so long. Their primary role has been stay-at-home mom or primary caregiver, and they want to go back to work, or moms who have had babies and still want to go back to work, which is all okay, whatever your choice is. I do think that, it is never too late to find ourselves. I think that what we need to do and what we should be doing really is speaking more kindly to ourselves, really practicing that self-compassion, really trying to look at our values, and do our actions typically align with our values more than not day to day. If our values are caregiving, it is okay to still have hobbies. It is okay to still have friendships outside of the home and outside of your profession. So I think it's really reconnecting with ourselves and who we are and who we truly feel we are and what we love to do outside of societal expectations.
And I think also as a community, like friends, we also kind of need to normalize when things are not getting okay. If you're feeling depressed, I think we as women do not come out that easily, because we feel, oh, what are others going to say, versus like taking our mental health seriously.
Absolutely. I think that is very tricky for people in general. I think people of older generations too, mental health is definitely, there's a stigma to that. There's a stigma of like being able to admit that, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I didn't do what I needed to do. I can't, keep up with my housework. I can't get my kids where they need to go. I'm feeling sad. I'm having trouble getting out of bed. I mean, these are things that all humans struggle with sometimes, and it is okay to lean on the people around us and to understand that we are not alone. I think that oftentimes women do feel ashamed or guilty, and we feel lonely then. And I think that if women really knew what we were all struggling with, we would feel less lonely in this world.
What, like for someone who's listening, tell me about 2 or 3 actually practical things that they can do to start the process of rediscovering themselves. Maybe it's for a mom who's an empty nester, or a mom who's struggling and wants to figure out that she wants to go back to work, or anything. What are those practical things she can start maybe right now after listening to this podcast?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, and this is where some people sort of are like, oh, how do we find time to do these things? So I think number one, that comes with some self-compassion, right? And some understanding of, it is okay for me to make time. I deserve. So I always tell people, let's use the words and I deserve. I deserve to be a professional and a mom. I deserve to have friends and hobbies. I deserve to do these things. So I think it's really sitting down and reconnecting, finding that time, even if it's a short period of time. Everybody hears, oh, self-care, and they think, oh, we have to go to a spa all day. I don't think it needs to be an all-day thing. Many of us don't have time or space for that, regardless of who we are. But I think it's allowing, I'm gonna take 10 minutes today to enjoy my coffee. I'm gonna take 10 minutes today to do some journaling about how I'm feeling, or I'm gonna agree that I can get a babysitter, or my partner can watch the kids, or whatever, and I can make time to have a drink with my friends. I also think learning to set boundaries is really important, although that's a very tricky thing for people to do. Being able to say no and not carry that guilt. Being able to say, I can't take any more on, I don't have time or space for that, does not make us bad people.
Yes, exactly. And I think, like, taking a cue from you, like saying no, not even to your friends, but to your partner, to your kids. If your partner is saying, can you take the kids to a basketball game? Say, no, I have to go for a dance class. I have to go for a walk. If your kids want some kind of dinner, you can say, mommy's really tired, we'll just do takeout. So not even saying no to people who are not part of the family, but what do you think about saying no to the family members and making them understand that I cannot do it?
Absolutely. I think that's a very healthy thing. I think then we are also modeling boundaries for our kids and our partners. So I think we're also learning and teaching by example, right? I think that is how kids, research is supported that that's how kids learn anyway. We can tell them to set boundaries and teach them that it's okay to say no, but if they never also see us modeling that, it's very hard for them to then implement those things. So it is absolutely okay to say no. And I like being able to say, mommy feels really tired today, or mommy feels overwhelmed, so today we're just gonna do takeout, or today that laundry's not gonna get done. That's okay, because it also teaches our kids that we are not perfect and that it's okay to ask for help.
So we always talk about, like, we're talking about mother's guilt and how our society is. Do you even think, is it practically possible that women can separate themselves and not just identify themselves with the roles they play, like being a mom or being a wife? Is it even, I still feel that we have a long way to kind of develop as a society. Is it possible, do you think? Like, of course, we're talking about it, but sometimes I feel like we talk a lot and sometimes it's very hard to implement. Is it possible?
Well, I do think it's possible. I do agree, though, that we are, we have a long way to go. And I think all of this continues to be ingrained in us if we look at social media or the news or what we read or, just societal expectations in general still have not shifted as much as I think we feel like they should have or are shifting. I still think there's a lot of high expectations for women and what we should be doing. I do think it's possible. I think really working together, supporting each other, letting each other know that we're here. I think also finding that time and space for yourself, even if it's, I'm going to take a walk around the block. It doesn't have to be these big fancy things. It can be, I'm going to take this walk. I'm going to sleep in another 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to not commit to doing the extra thing. So I think all those things can be ways that women can reconnect or start to reconnect with themselves and really doing things that they love. So if you used to enjoy a certain hobby or craft, I think it's, using those skills and that creativity to really pursue things that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. Thank you so much, Emily, for discussing and having this conversation with us and sharing your insights, like how we can, as women, at any moment in life, rediscover ourselves, reconnect with ourselves. And we can start, like what she said, with very practical things, journaling, saying no, just to have that momentum to start and then build on that. Thank you so much, viewers, for listening. And to all the women out there who are feeling lost and feel that they need to reconnect, I would say it's never too late. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at the handle women.for.women2025. That is where we'll be recording more episodes, putting in more bites. Again, this is Anjal Nanda signing off. Until next time. Never too late to start anything. Bye.